Hi boys and girls, happy tremendous Thursday. At this point, you have made it halfway through summer camp. Can you believe that already? How fast it's going? All right, so just a reminder, we're gonna be doing work in our workspace book today. So you're gonna want your workspace book and something to write with. Handy dandy pencil. Okay, so let's see. This week we've talked about Amanda Beans with equal groups and talking about equal groups as rows. We wrote equations and then we wrote word problems for things that come in equal groups. So today we're going to learn some new math vocabulary and a new game called Multiplication Bingo, which I think you guys are really going to like. All right. So let's start out with just writing a multiplication equation. 5 groups of 2 equals something. Okay? So the numbers we multiply together, do you guys remember from 3rd grade what those are called? They're called factors. Okay, so you are going to turn to our vocabulary page in your workspace book where we already wrote some math vocabulary, and that was on page 62. So turn to page 62. And you're going to write this equation down and label each number that you multiply with the word factor, because the numbers we multiply together are called factors. So I'm going to go ahead and read from you right from the glossary on page 63, the definition of factor. Factors are numbers that you multiply to get a product. For example, 3 and 7 are factors in the equation 3 times 7 equals 21. So those are our factors. Okay, the next new vocabulary word, or it should be a review really. So I'm going to take these off. You should have that written on page 62. So when we multiply two numbers together, two factors together, we get an answer. This one is 10, and that answer is called a product. So next you're going to write this on your page 62 on your math vocabulary page. Just write this equation, and under the answer of 10 you're going to write product, because the answer to a multiplication problem is called a product. Okay, while you write that, I'm going to just read to you right out of the glossary, last page in the book, what a product is. A product is the answer you get when you multiply. For example, 21 is the product in the equation 7 times 3 equals 21. Okay, so you should have those words written down. Factors and products, and we should be using those words when we talk about our math, our multiplication equations. Okay, so suppose we had our number cube or our dice, and I rolled, and a number 1 came up on the cube. That was my first roll. So that would be my first factor. What other factors, if I rolled again, could possibly come up on this cube? I could roll a 1, a 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Remember yesterday we were talking about that there were 6 faces on a cube. So those are the 6 different numbers I could roll. Okay? So let's figure out the products for each. If I rolled a 1 and then I rolled another 1. So that would be the factors 1 times 1 would equal a product, that's right, of 1. All right, so we're going to do this together. This is going to be on workspace page 28. Go ahead and turn to page 28. And you can see all the multiplication products there, number cube products. So we're going to go ahead and finish this set right here. So what if I first rolled a 1 as a factor, and then I rolled a 2 as a factor? One group of 2 would give me a product of 2. Okay? Let's say I rolled a factor of 1 again, and then I rolled a factor of 3. One group of 3 would give me a product of 3. Not too tough, right? Let's say I rolled a factor of 1 and then rolled a factor of 4. So I'd have one group of 4, and my product would be 4. You should be writing these answers in that first section on page 28 of your workspace book. All right, so then let's say I rolled a factor of 1 and then a factor of 5. So I've got one group of 5, and my product would, of course, be 5. All right, and then my final roll, I'm going to roll a factor of 1 and a factor of 6. So that would be one group of 6, and my product would be, that's right, 6. Simple enough, right? Okay, so we're going to continue on like this, going through the rest of these problems. So I'm going to erase the front part of this and my products. I'm going to erase the first factors and the products just so you can follow along with me. Now my first factor for each of these problems is going to be a 2. I roll a factor of 2, a factor of 1. 2 groups of 1 would give me 2. Filling in your workbook as you go. Roll a factor of 2. I roll another factor of 2. 2 groups of 2 would give me a product of 4. I roll a factor of 2. I roll a factor of 3. 2 groups of 3 would give me a product of 6. I roll a factor of 2. I roll a factor of 4. That would give me a product of 8. 2 groups of 4 would give me 8. I roll a factor of 2. I roll a factor of 5. I have 2 equal groups of 5. That would give me a product of 10. I roll a factor of 2. I roll a factor of 6. 2 groups of 6 would give me a total product of 12. Okay, you should have that written in your workspace book. While you're writing that, I'm going to go ahead and erase, and we can finish filling out the rest of this page. So I'm going to get rid of my first factors, because now we're going to work with factors of 3. Okay, so if I roll a factor of 3 and then a factor of 1, I have 3 groups of 1, which would give me a product of 3. If I roll a factor of 3 and a factor of 2, 3 groups of 2 would give me a product of 6. If I roll a factor of 3 and roll a factor of 3, 3 groups of 3 would give me a product of 9. If I roll a factor of 3 and a factor of 4, 3 groups of 4 would give me a product of 12. If I roll a factor of 3 and a factor of 5, I would get a product of 15, 3 groups of 5. If I roll a factor of 3 and a factor of 6, I would get a product of 18. Okay? Go ahead and write those in your book. I'm going to get rid of the first factor and the products again, because now I'm going to go to rolling a first product of 4. So factor of 1 times factor of, or factor of 4 times a factor of 1 would give me a product of 4. A factor of 4 times a factor of 2 would give me a product of 8. Following along with me? Factor of 4 and a factor of 3 would give me a product of 12. A factor of 4 and a factor of 4 would give me a product of 16. A factor of 4 times a factor of 5 would give me a product of 20. And a factor of 4 times a factor of 6 would give me a product of 24. Okay, 2 more sections to go for this. I'm going to erase those first factors. You already have those in your book. And the products, which you should have written. All right, so now I'm going to imagine that I rolled a first factor of 5. So factor of 5 times a factor of 1 would give me a product of 5. Factor of 5 and a factor of 2 would give me a product of 10. Factor of 5 times a factor of 3 would give me a product of 15. A factor of 5 times a factor of 4 would give me a product of 20. A factor of 5 times a factor of 5 would give me a product of 25. And a factor of 5 times a factor of 6 would give me a total of 30. All right, one more group to go. Should have written that down. I'm going to change these first factors now to 6. So these are all going to be 6s. A factor of 6 times a factor of 1 would give me a product of 6. A factor of 6 times a factor of 2 would give me a product of 12. A factor of 6 times a factor of 3 would give me a product of 18. Factor of 6 times a factor of 4 would give me a product of 24. A factor of 6 times a factor of 5 would give me a product of 30. A factor of 6 times a factor of 6 would give me a product of 36. All right, so you should have all of page 28 filled out, because I just did that with you. All right, now let's look at page 29. We're going to use the work we did on page 28 to solve page 29. So let's read the directions. It says complete. Number 1, what's the greatest product for the factors 1 to 6? So what's the biggest number answer you wrote down over here? Because remember, it's the answers. So what's the biggest product? Well, I've still got it right here on my board. 36. So you're going to write 36 in for number 1. What's the least product? So what's the smallest answer we wrote on this entire page? That'd be the very first one we wrote. 1 times 1 equals 1. So 1 was the smallest or the least product. Okay, so number 3, this one here, just has numbers set up on a board of 1 through 36. So it looks something like this. Okay, so all you're going to do is look and see which numbers as products or our answers are on this board. Do I have 1? Yeah, sure. 2, I have that one a couple times. 3 is a product over there. 4 is a product over there. 5 is a product. 6 is a product. 7 is not a product. We did not multiply any factors of 7, so 7 does not apply. 8, 9, 3 times 3, 10, 11 was not a product on our previous page, but 12 was. Okay, so you're going to complete that chart looking at your answers on page 28, and then you're going to answer the rest of the questions. Which products can be made from the same roll for the 2 number cubes? So that means same roll, that means I'm gonna have the same factors. So I could have a 1 times 1 equals 1, but they wanna know the product, so I'm gonna put down 1. I could also do 2 times 2 equals 4. So 4 would be a product that I list. So you're doing the same factors for that question. Which products can be made from 2 different rolls of 2 number cubes? So I'm not going to have the same number, so you're going to list out different products. And which products can be made from more than 2 rolls? So it had more than one product over here. So like 6 I see multiple times. I see it in the 1 times 6. I see it in the 2 times 6. I see it in the 3 times 2. So that's one that can be made multiple ways. Okay? So you're going to finish page 29, and you're going to use that page 28. All right. So the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is play our new game of multiplication bingo. All right. So how many of you have played bingo before? Probably lots of you. All right. So go ahead and turn to workspace page 30 and 31, and you can see your bingo pages. Okay, so this is different in 2 ways from regular bingo. So first of all, you're going to make and create your own bingo card. See how there's a blank one? You're going to create your own bingo card. Okay, and then we're going to roll a number cube. You guys are going to use the online digital rolling, so you can play this online, and I'll show you how to do that right after this. But then we're going to multiply 2 rolls together of our factors and cross that product out. So let me show you an example up here. All right. We just make a quick bingo card. And we should have 5 spaces. Okay, and I'll try to do the same here. Trying to make it even. Okay, the center is always a free space. So I want to use products, and if I'm thinking about winning, I probably want to use products that'll show up more than one time. So just like how we examined on that last page, that 6 came up 3 times, might be something to consider. So I'm only going to write numbers up to 36, products up to 36, because remember that was our largest from a regular number cube. And you can put in whatever numbers you want. So I might put in 12 here, 3, 5, 2, 1, 24, 15. You're going to make up whatever numbers you want on your number card. Let me see if I have a darker marker to work with. I could do 16, 18, 4. You could put them in order. You could mix them up. I could do 20, 22, 25, 8. I already have 18. You can do a couple though. Remember, 1, 2, 3. Let's do a 4. Remember, we said 6 came up several times. I could get a 9. So you just fill in your number card. Okay. So then when we roll, I rolled 1. I got a 2. Notice on your page, there's a place for you to write your equations. So my first factor was a 2. I'm going to write those in the side. My second factor was a 3. 2 times 3 is 6. So I can cross off my 6. Okay? That's simple. Just you're making your own board, and we're going to use the number cubes and the electronic digital number cubes for you to play this game. Okay? So I'll see you in just a minute to show you how to do that. So the only thing you're going to need to complete is page 29 and a bingo game. All right? And I'll show you how to do that. Have a great 3-day weekend.